There's a version of you that already knows that you want to leave nursing. And then there's this other version of you who is afraid and is trying to convince you to stay. That is such an uncomfortable place to be in. I've been there. I'm a former registered nurse. I found the confidence to walk away from nursing and to really find the thing that I love. Up to 40% of the nursing field will be leaving nursing by 2029, and about 900,000 are projected to leave nursing by 2027. That's a lot. So that shows you that so many nurses want to leave the profession, but there's a difference between knowing you want to leave and actually taking the action to get to your life outside of nursing. So by the end of this video, you're going to know different things that I dealt with, things that I see other nurses dealing with, and that gap between knowing you want to leave and actually taking the action to get there to make that your reality. The first thing is overthinking. Thinking you need to know all the steps, trying to put together this whole 5-year plan for you to go through, and you haven't even taken the first step yet. I used to be the worst overthinker. Like, I used to be so bad at this. I've gotten significantly better, especially since I left nursing and I really started to intentionally heal. But the overthinking is real. If you are somebody who overthinks, if you are somebody who wants to get this perfect, a lot of times that's the very thing that keeps you stuck, that makes you stall, that makes you think about all these different things that haven't even happened yet, that makes you think of the worst case scenario, that makes you think, oh, I might regret this decision. So the overthinking is a trap. And that's one of the things that keep people in the gap between knowing they want to leave and actually leaving nursing. The next thing, waiting to feel 100% ready. This one is huge. A lot of nurses are hoping to feel ready when they haven't even started preparing for their transition. If you think about this logically, right? Say you have a public speaking event and you know you want to speak at this event, but you ain't got no notes prepared. You didn't prepare for your speech. Will you feel as ready for that speech as you would if you wrote down what was in your head, you started preparing, you made an outline, you made some bullet points that you wanted to really hit on? It doesn't make sense to expect to feel ready for something that you didn't prepare for, right? So it doesn't make sense to expect to feel 100% ready if you're not actively putting intention into your transition, letting yourself picture what life would look like outside of nursing, putting things in order for that transition. If it's one thing I've learned throughout this journey of transitioning out of nursing and trying so many different things, is that you have to take the first step in order to gain clarity, in order to feel ready, in order to get your reps in, so that your confidence starts to build up. Because clarity is not going to magically appear. The more you stay in the indecision when you already know you want to leave, and the only thing keeping you stuck is fear of not knowing, fear of regretting your decision, that fear and that anxiety, it'll grow. The more time in between knowing that you want to leave and actually taking a step, the more that time is going to feed into your anxiety. It's going to feed into the what if spiral. What if I regret it? What if I don't know enough? What if I can't do it? What if this happens? And that alone is preparing you for a negative outcome. So I love to talk about the mind and how it works. The mind loves what's familiar, and the mind also does what it thinks you want it to do. So if you start speaking to your mind in a way that prepares you for your transition, in ways that empower you, if you start speaking to your mind in ways that uplift you and in ways that get you excited about this transition, about your new chapter outside of nursing, your mind will start to respond to that. But right now, as long as you continue to feed it, I don't know what to do, what if this, what if that, all those worst case scenarios, of course you're going to feel stuck. Of course you not going to want to move. And on top of that, your mind, like I said, your mind loves what's familiar. So right now, what's familiar is the burnout, it's the long shifts, it's the exhaustion, it's the feeling of being stuck. So many people get stuck in that mental loop because their mind feels like it's safe there. Even though it's painful there, your mind feels familiar with it. So it's going to do whatever it takes and try to feed you all these negative things about transitioning out of nursing so that you can stay where you are. So you literally have to intentionally take control, take your power back, and you have to take the driver's seat. You have to take the wheel. You have to start intentionally prepping yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, in all the ways. And I love this quote that I heard, which is that ready is not a feeling. it's a decision. So many people are sitting here waiting to feel ready when it's a decision. So if you wait on feeling ready, you're going to be waiting for a long time. But once you actually decide, you do that in an instant. You can clearly, like, you have a target, you have something to work towards, and you can clearly start moving towards the next thing that you want to do outside of nursing. All you have to do is make a decision. I am somebody who walked away from my nursing career, and I know what it takes to build up that muscle so that you trust yourself with your decision. The moment you get quicker with making decisions, that's when you start to build up evidence that the decisions that you make are okay. They didn't kill you. You didn't die. That's when you start to trust yourself more. So this gap that you're currently in between knowing you want to leave and actually leaving the nursing profession, another thing that's keeping you in that gap is the constant research. And I'm so grateful that you're on this video, but my dear, you can't stay stuck in the research phase. I love researching. Like, I love looking up stuff. I love getting information infused in my brain. It validates what you feel, but it doesn't get you moving. It don't get you moving. A lot of times it don't. Sometimes it do. Hopefully me speaking to you is inspiring you to move and to have that forward momentum towards your life outside of nursing, so you can really start creating that. You can start benefiting from that. Yes, the research is helpful because it helps you to feel more prepared, but that confidence, that momentum, that comes once you start taking steps, once you start moving in the direction that you want to go in. And I want to take a minute to normalize the fear that comes with this decision. Fear is actually expected, but just because the fear is normal doesn't mean that you have to let it take the driver's seat. It does not mean that you have to let it dictate your decisions. The fear doesn't mean stop. The fear doesn't mean that what you're choosing to do is the wrong thing. Fear is expected before a breakthrough. Fear is expected before an identity shift. Fear is expected before you make a decision that will literally change your life, that can literally change your life for the better. Because I'm going to keep taking it back to the mind. Your mind loves what's familiar. So you're going to feel this fear because where you want to go is unfamiliar. You're so familiar with your nurse identity, your nurse role. So you stepping out of that is unknown. It's not familiar, so it's normal for the fear to come up. But if it's another thing I learned in this journey is that you can't allow that fear to stop you. I just think about, like, because I was scared, even though I knew I wanted to leave nursing. I knew I didn't want to retire in nursing. I was still scared to leave. There was several reasons I was scared, but when I think back on if I allowed that to stop me, to keep me where I was for years longer, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I wouldn't be here on this day, the date of recording this, January 20th of 2026, being able to help you through this journey. Because I wouldn't have gone, like, maybe I wouldn't have gone first. Maybe it would have took me longer. Maybe I would still be in that process of really learning how to own my decision. But because I did it anyway, I leapt, I went even though the fear was there. I didn't take that as a stop. I took that as this is something that I'll have to learn to overcome. I have to learn to feel the fear and do it anyway. I have to do it. We're all human. We all feel fear. But like I said, that doesn't mean to stall. It doesn't mean to stop. It doesn't mean stay stuck. When it's something that you want to do and you feel like you'll be expanded by it, you feel like this is really good for you deep down, like you feel it in your gut. I love to think of fear as a go sign. Like, that's a sign that I'm on the right track. That's a sign that I'm about to level up. I'm about to get to my next level. I'm about to get to the next version of myself that I used to just think about or dream about. So that fear, and I always say this, like, it's going to come. The thing is learning how to feel the fear, process the fear, learn how to move in spite of all these fears that you feel when it comes to leaving nursing. The fear starts to dissolve once you take action, once you prove to yourself that you started the process of transitioning out of nursing and you didn't die. That's literally what your mind and, like, you're wired for survival. So even though this isn't like a life or death situation, your mind is still in primal mode. So you have to prove to it that you'll be okay once you start taking those steps. You'll be okay once you go in the direction you really want to go in. Because if you stay where you are right now, that's just prolonging a decision that you already know you want to make. And that's just adding to the fear, to the what ifs, to the anxiety that you're creating in your mind around this decision. So I always say that a lot of nurses aren't stuck here because they lack information or they lack resources. They're actually stuck because they lack the proper preparation and support. They're trying to process all this alone. They're trying to go through all this alone. They feel stuck. They feel like nobody understands them. They feel like nobody gets what they're going through and them wanting to leave nursing. So they suffer silently. They hold it in. Watch different people on YouTube or do a bunch of research, but they go right back to feeling stuck. Having the proper support, it actually shortens the gap between knowing that you want to leave nursing and actually doing something about it. You can't have both. I mean, you can have both, but the proper support shortens that time. It shortens that time. It helps you overcome that fear. It helps you build up your confidence. It helps you take action. It helps keep you accountable. It helps you in so many ways, not only emotionally, but also practically. Being around somebody who's done it first, being around people who are going through similar journeys as you, all of this matters because when you are in close proximity and you're receiving support from somebody who's already done it, who's already gone first, they went through all the hard things so that you don't have to go through all the hard things if you don't want to. So it's a shortcut. And I love me a good shortcut. So I always say that this process took me 4 years. It took me 4 years to confidently own my decision, to stand 10 toes down on my decision, to be able to even talk about my decision, not just with people in my life, but publicly, like I'm sitting here talking to you. 4 years because I didn't have support in the way that I was craving it. I didn't have a nurse, a former nurse, guide me through the process. I didn't have anyone to prepare me for what was coming next after knowing that you want to leave and actually starting to take the steps towards your new chapter outside of nursing. So I did it all. I did it all. I experienced it all. And I was able to put the process that I went through inside of a framework so that it does not take you years to figure this out. It does not take you years to take a step, so that it doesn't take you years of feeling stuck, of staying in that fear, of letting fear run your life and run your decisions. That's why I created the Confidence to Quit Nursing Signature Program. So you can have that support as you're moving through this process. Support that you crave, that you need to start taking steps towards your next chapter outside of nursing. That is why this exists, because I know how lonely it feels to be in that place, to feel stuck, to know you want to move, but to not feel brave enough or confident enough. And I know what it feels like to start that journey and to feel alone in that journey, to feel like the people around you don't understand why you even wanted to go on that journey in the first place. But I always say it's not your job to make other people understand your decisions. So I created the spaces, the community that I wish existed when I was exactly where you are right now. So if you feel like I'm speaking to you, I am. If you feel like I'm speaking to your soul, if you feel like anything I said resonated, if you feel moved, uplifted, inspired in any way, that is literally our souls communicating with each other. It's time. You know it's time. I'm going to leave it there. So, the ways that I can support you through this process outside of YouTube, the Confidence to Quit Nursing Signature Program. This is my signature core program, my framework that I created based on my own process that helped me to learn to confidently own my decision, that helped me leave nursing and try new things and not look back with regret. We do different activation challenges and different things that get you moving, that get you actually taking action. Because you didn't come here to stay stuck another year. Like, how long have you been feeling like you wanted to leave nursing, but you stayed because you felt stuck or you felt like you didn't know what to do? How long has it been? It doesn't have to be another year, another 2 years, another 3 years, another 5 years, another decade. It does not have to be that if you don't want it to. The support exists, it's here for you. I invite you into it if you feel like it's a good fit for you. You know what's best for you. Let's just breathe. I love breathing. Let's just take a breath because this was a lot. In through your nose and out through your mouth. I want you to know that you don't have to rush anything today. This ain't about rushing outside of nursing. This ain't about burning everything to the ground and saying, I quit tomorrow. It's not about that. It's about preparing yourself intentionally. It's about allowing yourself to be supported, knowing that you don't have to go through this journey alone, but you get to decide. You get to decide whether you want to keep doing this alone, whether you're going to stay where you are. You get to decide whether you're going to create a life that you love outside of nursing. It all starts with a decision. But I do want you to know that the right support changes everything. It can have you quantum leaping and taking the steps, and you literally don't have to recognize yourself. It's by the end of this month, by the end of this year. But it's all about what you decide to do. Support exists. The links are below if you want support. Breathe. Just remember to breathe. Remember to give yourself grace, but also don't allow fear to take the steering wheel. Not this time. Not this year.